Welcome to Subway Sports Talk.
Dan, clear of the closing doors, please.
All right, here we go. Subway Sports Talk. My name is Peter Kennedy, and I am your host. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in to SST on Apple Podcasts app, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. We appreciate you all the same. Whether you're listening to it during the week or maybe on Sunday mornings. You're tapping in on Sunday mornings, listening to those spread picks. That's a good way to enjoy Subway Sports Talk with the one and only Cody O'Connor. What's up, brother?
I'm hoping that anyone that listened Sunday was able to not tail us because we got shellacked this Sunday. But nevertheless, we'll be back. We'll be back this Sunday. We're not hiding. We're not going to fear it. We're going to be right back. We talked about the process. We still think the process is good. A lot of bad beats this week, Pete. So hopefully we can right that ship and get right into NFL because there's really nothing else to talk about, right?
No, nothing else going on. Nothing else devastating in the world of sports and New York sports, to be specific. Nothing else that I could even think of to note. You know what I mean? Nothing really.
Knicks won.
The Knicks won. The Nets are playing decent basketball.
500.
Hockey's going on. Anything else happened this week, Cody? Oh, boy. How about this? Just two Mets fans sitting here ready to talk about the Yankees and how it's over. Is that wrong? Is it wrong that you and I are going to do this?
I think we could keep it objective enough. I think most Yankees fans would probably have already turned it off by now if they were
don't
listening.
care.
But to be fair to them, if it was the reverse, I wouldn't listen to any media, Mets fan, Yankees fan, or anyone indifferent if I had, just lost, especially the way that they just lost. And I mean, it's not to throw a shot. That was tough.
Yeah, no, it's totally tough. And frankly, we're not going to talk about it very long because I completely agree with you. Yankee fans are thinking two things right now. One, don't talk to me about the Yankees. Two, if we don't give Juan Soto everything that he ever wants in this life, I'm done. Right? Like as much as they'll yell and scream about Boone, if he's back, or they're saying he's going to be back, they're pissed about that, but they expected it. In the heart of hearts, they expected it. Cashman, they want him gone, but he's back. They expected it. Juan Soto is the only thing on the mind of the Yankee fan now. And I even think if we start breaking down this game, I don't think a Yankee fan even wants to hear it. I mean, I was talking to some people today at work about the whole Yankee situation, and it's a disgust thing. They're disgusted. They're, thinking how unfortunate it was that after this year of not really feeling this team full-heartedly, that all their feelings throughout the year came to fruition in the biggest moment. When they started build, it was basically like, here, we're going to give you this hope, and this hope's going to build, this hope's going to build. You now feel better about this team going into the World Series than you have at any other point of the entire season. And then that happens, and it's devastating. So, I don't know why a Yankee fan would want to hear us say more about how devastating it was, because, Cody, it was devastating.
I mean, how many times did we watch a Mets team lose have a 5-run lead and blow it this year? And in the regular season, it was bothering me and pissing me off and making me think that this team's, not going anywhere. To have that happen that way when, again, it's the hope that kills. It's the hope that kills you because they were trying to be out on this team and they pulled them back in and then they go and win the ALCS and you're thinking, hey, we've got a shot. And realistically, when you look back at it now, I think you're thinking to yourself, they didn't really accomplish much at all. They won their division. They've got the accolades. They won the division. They won the championship series, the pennant. But they beat the Royals and the Guardians. And I'm sorry, even Yankees fans shouldn't really be very impressed with that, especially with the way that this series transpired. And then to top it all off, the icing on the cake is that you now have to listen to Juan Soto interview after interview and play GM and speculate what's he going to do and hear what he said last night about all 30 teams or talk about kind of the Yankees and the team in the past, and you're going to try to decipher what that means. And it just adds insult to injury. Like it's it's even worse knowing that the guy that you want and need more than anything is going to go out and test the market. And right across town, there's a $600 million offer that's coming from the Mets that's at minimum putting pressure on the Yankees. I am Jerry Seinfeld sitting on the couch right now just saying, that's a shame.
Mm. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's a weird situation, and Yankees fans across America, across the world, frankly, they're everywhere. They had a really weird year. They really did. If you went truth serum on every Yankee fan that you're getting from them that they were not in love with this team. They were in love with parts of this team. They were in love with Soto. They were in love with Judge. And obviously the Judge thing is weirder now. They were in love with Stanton in the playoffs, but not at one point could a Yankee fan look anyone in the face and say, no, I love this team. This team is what I want Yankee baseball to be. But they were getting to that end goal. And most Yankee fans, and I heard on Bill Simmons, Jacko and JJ, John Jastrzemski, my boy JJ, were like, yeah, no, this is a successful season already. This is not a failure. And I'm like, what? Hold on, because there's too many Yankee fans in my life telling me that the Mets were a failure for not even making it to the World Series. And now there's going to be Yankee fans out here saying, no, 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 no. This wasn't the team that was the World Series team. Like this, we made it. This was a successful season. Nah, that don't fly for me. That don't work for me because that's hypocritical, right? Yankee fans are the classic fans who will crap on Mike Trout for only playing in one playoff series in his whole career. They're the same people who say, if you don't win it all, it's not worth it. We have a different standard. That's your standard. That's cool. I respect it. I want to have a team that has that standard. I don't have that. We're hoping to get that with the Mets. So I don't like the flip-floppy nature. And to that point, and I give Yankee fans for the most part credit because I think they're generally understanding that Judge just came up short and it's bad, right? It's bad. But if you're a type of guy who craps on Lamar Jackson for not getting to the Super Bowl yet, if you're the type of guy who hated James Harden for putting up numbers in the regular season and not beating the Golden State Warriors, and you're the type of guy who used to make fun of Chris Paul or Peyton Manning before he got to his first winning Super Bowl season, whatever it is, there's historic players from our entire lifetime, Cody, that were just, amazing regular season players, MVPs, top of their craft, can't get over the hump right here, right now, Cody. And I don't want to say this. Judge seems awesome. He's an amazing guy, an amazing player, but you have to say it. He is one of those guys. He is Dak Prescott. He is the Dallas Cowboys. And that's going to piss Yankee fans off. It is cold, hard fact. I've heard Yankee fans cry about how Shohei Ohtani is getting all this love. What has he done? The Angels don't even make the playoffs. If he's so good, why aren't the Angels even making the playoffs? Mike Trout, he's a Hall of Famer already. He hasn't even made the playoffs. Well, guess what? You got a guy who's an MVP now who can't get over the hump, who hasn't shown up. So if you're the Yankee fan who you always are, keep that same energy. And you should be pissed. You should be embarrassed. Because even though this wasn't your best team, this may be your best shot. And there we are. At the end of the day, Yankee fans, it's tomorrow. So better luck next year.
It was tough for Judge. And then he rights the ship a little bit with that first inning home run. And he seems like, hey, he's carrying over some momentum. They've talked about his adjustments at the plate. He even hit a double in the eighth inning when they went down a run and showed a little life. But he also drops that ball in center field. That is the catalyst, the starter for that Dodgers inning where, 5 inexplicable runs. And the thing about that part is, and I know I'm going on a different edge here, but they have the Volpe error to load the bases. And then Cole bears down and gets 2 strikeouts, one of which – Shohei Ohtani, who showed up really small in the World Series. Luckily, Freddie Freeman was larger than life. But then Mookie Betts, you get the soft contact that you want. And anyone who has played the sport knows that as the pitcher, you have to bust your butt over to first base, and you cannot assume anything. And if anyone wants to blame Rizzo, the spin on the ball is what kept Rizzo holding back. And he knows where Mookie Betts is. Rizzo's an excellent first baseman. But Garrett Cole looks like he's running over and then just stops. That run comes in. Freddie soft contact, 2 RBIs, and then Teoscar ties the game. And then the Yankees get the lead back. And the Dodgers, we know how relentless that lineup is, and no lead is safe. And we've seen that time and time again with them. Don't mistake it at all, because you'll hear that the Yankees should have been 3-2. The Dodgers were the better team. They were the team who deserved 100%. To win the World Series. Yeah, there's no question. I don't know that anyone's saying different, but just to be completely clear, that was the best team in baseball who won the World Series. And
Mhm.
even if you listen to the 3 or 4 minutes I gave on Sunday's pod at the end to wrap up the Mets season, I had been saying since the Atlanta game, I thought the season was a success. You
Yeah.
add in the Milwaukee series and that fun, beating your rival in Philadelphia, who was the two seed in the NL, but top tier team who was, World Series aspirations, winning that. And then you go and you fight against the Dodgers. And once they got it to game 6 and they didn't allow them to celebrate on their field, it was like nothing was left from that team. And the difference between the Mets and Yankees ending is I felt the Mets got every single thing out of this season. They overachieved and essentially squeezed every drop of juice that they could get out of this year. And for the first time in my life, a Mets season ended where I wasn't disappointed. And I've held to that since the moment it happened. Even my wife was like, "You surprisingly handled that well," because she knows me. And I'm like, I
I
know,
hope
but
so.
it's just, I kind of at that point was like, it's okay. They gave everything. And the difference with the Yankees is you're scratching your head and saying, we could have taken this series. We might have been able to win. And you have to go into the offseason with that. And of course, like I said, the Soto decision weighing over your head. One of the only times I could say I'd much rather be a Mets fan right now.
Yeah, and again, there's different Yankees fans out there. There are some people out here being like, "Yeah, right, two Mets fans being harsh on us because we just lost, having their fun." And yes, I am having fun. I'm having a lot of fun. But frankly, I was sitting on the couch last night, and Cody, I was pulling for the Yankees. I truly was. I was also ready to send out all my fun texts to all my friends to make them pissed at me. Like it's a win-win for me, right? Like Yankees lose, I send out my jokes and I have fun. Yankees win, and I get to keep watching good baseball. Unfortunately, though, there wasn't that much good baseball outside of from the part of the Yankees. There wasn't. They got out hit, they got out pitched, they got outfielded, and they got out base ran. That's it. So did the Mets, by the way. So did the Mets. The Mets got out hit and they got out pitched. I don't know if you want to talk fielding and base running. Different story. The Mets were better in that department than the Yankees were, but like the Yankees got just category by category dismantled by this Dodgers team that wasn't supposed to have pitching. That was with a banged up Freddie Freeman who became superhuman again. Shohei wasn't even Shohei, and they still just put up runs when they needed to, when they wanted to. This series went 5. Could have been a sweep. It could have been a sweep. Yeah, it could have went 5 or 6. Guess what? Didn't. It's over. But yeah, all the stuff into the offseason, it's pretty self-explanatory now. And I do think this is about the amount of time that we needed to spend on it, Cody. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I can I ask you one question? I think it's quick.
Okay.
How did you feel, really, this whole series, but as a Mets fan, watching Freddie Freeman do that to the Yankees and really to another team, a guy that we know so well? I felt such a weird emotion, and I wonder how you did.
It was a little bit of a weight off the shoulder, if anything, because it's like, all right, he just does this to everyone. I don't hate Freddie Freeman.
Me
I
neither.
hate I hate seeing him against my team. That sucks. It's actually quite similar to how I felt growing up, seeing Andrew Jones and Chipper Jones as two of the coolest, most talented players in the league. But I hated seeing them against my Mets, of course. But watching their highlight tapes, watching them play on ESPN back when I used to watch national baseball, it's like, wow, these guys kind of rule. They're kind of awesome. And that's how I felt, especially
It
with the
re-
story with his son
you
and father, the whole nine.
you had a tweet a while back about like players that you should hate but you secretly don't. You remember that? And I
Yeah, of course.
answered, and I believe my answer was Freddie Freeman as one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the exact fit where I've always just respected the hell out of him. Thought he's an awesome ball player, but hated what he's done to me. And then to watch him do it to someone else and it be the Yankees, I'm sorry, but there is still some part of me that's like, because let me ask, if the Mets had blown the game last night the way they did, do you think Yankees fans are letting us off the hook? Do you think they're going to be nice to us if the Mets had done that? It would have been a classic. The Mets are going to Met. The Mets did. They would have been all over us if those roles were reversed and the Mets had lost in that fashion. And I'm not doing that, and I know you don't do it either. But I'm also not going to be completely modest here.
Yeah. No, I was trying to get our buddy Mark Shenlugan going in the chat. He wasn't taking my bait. I was doing my best Mark Shenlugan impression in the chat. It wasn't really working on him. He was just not answering me. I kept sending cricket emojis. Wasn't working. I mean, listen, I completely agree overall. And frankly, I'm a friend runner. I'll call it that. Not a front runner. I'm a friend runner. I was watching Yankee games over this playoff run where I was present with a bunch of Yankees fans, and I'm feeling the energy in the room. And, Stanton hits a home run. I'm high-fiving. Let's go. That was awesome. What a shot. I also like Giancarlo Stanton. I like Yankees players too. Like, I like Judge. I like Stanton. I like Soto.
Mm-hmm.
I even like Jazz Chisholm. I just think he's a fun player to watch. But I'm high-fiving. I'm enjoying it, whatever. But then again, when they lose, it is no skin off my back,
Right.
right? Zero disappointment from this guy. It's just, hey, I'll high-five you, happy for you, whatever, whatever. And then I'll make my joke where I can and etc. And that's the way that you should do it. But yeah, of course, if the Mets lost in that fashion, some Yankee fans, I don't like to paint with the broad brush. So if there's a Yankee fan listen to this and be like, I don't do that.
Yeah. There's some.
Thank you for
some
not
good ones
doing
out
that.
there.
Yeah, there's some good ones out there. Shout out Andrew Kalanya and opposite of shout out Alec Argento.
Yeah.
So-
No, I'm same way though. I don't actively root against them, but it's also like, if they lose, they lose.
Right. Literally, my back is full of skin because nothing came off from that loss last night.
Gained a layer.
Gained a layer. Exactly. All right. Well, that's all we got on the Yankees. I think that's more than enough on that front. It was a good season and a failure of a season because that window is still open, but now that window is held up by a stick called Juan Soto. And if that stick gets taken away, that window's getting awfully close to closed. Because what are plan B? I don't know. What is plan B? That's better grammar. Nonetheless, Cody O'Connor, Pete Kennedy. Now let's talk about some football, Cody. And I don't want to jump right into picks. And maybe at the end, we'll do a quick little basketball minute here. Before we get into that, actually, we mentioned before we started recording, no free ads today, right?
Zero free ads from us.
I realized that with saying no free ads, there actually are a few free ads going on if you're watching this podcast, not just listening to it. I'm wearing a Jersey Mike's hat. I have a Guinness sign behind me. And you know what, Cody? It's Thursday. It's Halloween.
Crack it.
How about that? You heard that? That's good for you. And that's some ASMR for the listening audience. Do you guys like that? Now it's Friday. We're coming up to a nice little weekend of football. And maybe you're going to enjoy a couple of these. I hope you do. I'm gonna. So I just want to say cheers to our listening audience here, Cody. And no free ads, but some ads there. It's a good time to be a sports fan still. The baseball season ended poorly. The Jets and Giants, Cody, both stink. The Knicks are playing basketball and showing off some stuff. Carl-Anthony Towns, great game 2 nights ago. The Nets are playing competitive, I guess, for what you expected. Hockey, sure. But how do we, Cody, and we're going to talk about our picks, which is obviously a great way, but how do we, Cody, continue to enjoy this football season with the Jets and Giants being buns? Is there any inkling of hope? And let's start. I mean, we probably shouldn't start with the Jets because they're playing as we record this, but let's start with the Jets. Let's just say this game goes well for the Jets. What is even a route here? Is there a route to enjoyment for this season for New York football fans? If you want to go Giants specific, Jets specific, actually, I don't really care. But is there a route to enjoyment, or is it now turn to your picks, turn to your fantasy, turn to your Sundays, and just enjoy it? Where are we at?
Well, the first thought popped in my head, no free ads, but the way to enjoy football is through DraftKings and FanDuel and other sites. That's the way for Giants and Jets fans right now. Jets fans, I think, are still holding on to some type of hope, especially if they win tonight. And the ones that aren't will be bought back in, I think, with a win tonight. The AFC is not incredibly strong right now. There's reason to believe that maybe 9 wins can get you in, but there's also teams like the Bengals who are thinking the same way. And I think most people would probably guess that the Bengals are more likely to go on a run. For the Giants, I don't think there is any hope. I don't even know what to look forward to. It's not like if they tank that they're guaranteed some star quarterback unless somebody emerges late. And not to mention, at 2-6, the Giants currently hold the 8th draft pick. Not really, not exactly a top tier slotted pick. So I don't know what Giants fans can look forward to. I was there in MetLife when they got the brakes beat off them by Philly, and it was embarrassing, and most of the stadium was gone by the third quarter. For the Jets, you have pieces and you still have a team that there is a reason that fans are still holding on. And it's not the most insane thing to think that this team can go and win. What do they need to do? 7 out of their last 8, something along those lines. 8 out of their last 9. I think 8 wins gets them. Yeah, I think it's 8 out of their last 9 would get them 10 wins. Obviously, a tall, tall task, but it will start with beating a Houston team tonight. I mean, it's a brutal loss against the Patriots. There's no way around it, but I think
Horrendous.
this is the last stand. This is it. You know, if they can beat Houston tonight, there will be some people to buy back in, and you'll look at standings and say, actually, they're only 2 out or something like that. And so the
Right.
Jets have some very very tiny inkling of hope. And maybe I'm too close to the Giants, but I don't see any world in which something just turns around, especially after Andrew Thomas went down. The offense
Yeah.
is just they just don't have enough.
Yeah, and the Jets thing again, bad timing on our recording part because we're recording like it's kickoff as we speak right now. So it hasn't even started yet for us to give you an idea if they're winning or not. So if you're listening to this and they got embarrassed or lost the way they lost the last 3 weeks, then I'm sorry. But
Then we're
like
out
that's
on them too. We're done.
yeah,
We're out.
then we're out, right? And then enjoy Aaron Rodgers for a year, I guess. I don't know. But the AFC though, that's the thing, Cody. In years past, the AFC has been kind of it. It's been the it conference, and it's been a mishmash in the NFC. Here this year in the AFC, we're looking at standings that are going to be advantageous to more teams believing they're still in the race. Now the Jets are 2-6 as we speak, without the you know finished score against the Texans here. But you're looking around the league, and outside of the AFC North, you're not really trusting that many folks, Cody. So that is where the hope lies for the New York Jets. If they take care of business here, then all of a sudden you're in a race for 3 wild card spots with one of the Steelers or Ravens, maybe the Dolphins if Tua continues to be healthier, and then we're talking Colts, Broncos, Chargers. It's maybe a thing you could talk yourself into just a little bit, but furthermore, from the Jets and Giants front, because I agree with you on the Giants, like you're watching the D line and you're watching Malik Neighbors. That's what you're getting excited about for the Giants on Sundays. After that, there's nothing. What else in the league? Maybe not from a gambling perspective, just from an at-large perspective, Cody. What is driving your intrigue here? Is there a specific team or two that just is tickling your fancy that you see them on a Sunday or a Monday night, Thursday night, and you get actually a little excited? Like, I really like watching this team. Is there somebody out there that you're enjoying specifically that is a true playoff contender?
Jameis, baby.
Yeah.
Jameis, he's
Jameis
back.
Winston.
I mean, are you kidding me? 303 last week and beats the Ravens. He's made the Cleveland Browns fun again. And for
Yeah.
Giants fans, I know I'm sitting here wishing that I could have a Jameis Winston on my team. I would take a Joe Flacco, a Kirk Cousins, a Baker Mayfield, the little tier above, but I would take anything to watch and at least have some type of feeling. I don't even have a feeling when I watch the Giants. It's like, here we go again. It's ridiculous. Jameis has made football in Cleveland fun again. And maybe that's a little hint on one of my picks later on. Other than that, you know who's been really fun to watch in the NFC is Detroit. I mean, that offense is just pumping right now, and it goes through every guy, every different way. Sometimes it's a golf game. Sometimes it's the run game. Might be Jahmyr Gibbs today. Maybe it's David Montgomery, or maybe both of them score 2 touchdowns. That's a really fun team to watch right now. And other than that, Pete, I place about 10, 11 futures in the offseason. So I've got all those except for now Chris Godwin to look forward to, which that one sucks. But besides that, yeah, I got all those things to look at. But Jameis, he's the driving factor right now. He's number one for me.
It's like must see television because it's going to go great or bad or both at once, and it's fun. You got to watch it, and now you have all these random receivers in Cleveland who are like getting picked up in fantasy. Cedric Tillman, Elijah Moore's relevant again. Like you got guys. It's like, all right, is this guy going to get peppered with 10 targets a game now? Like, is this real? And it might be because Jameis lets it rip, baby, and you love it, and it reminds you of some of the purity of football that we long for, Cody. And at large, because we're talking at large right now, there has been, to me, too many teams becoming okay with mediocrity on offense. And what I mean by that, there are less teams willing to take risks. There are less teams, or I should say, there are more teams afraid to make the mistake. And as a viewing audience, it drives me nuts. You know what else I've enjoyed? I've enjoyed Russell Wilson for Pittsburgh because guess what he does 5 times a game? Chucks it deep, over the top. Can somebody do something? And Joe Flacco's the same way, Cody. And you watch the Giants, and maybe it's the juxtaposition that really bugs me the most. It's like this team is afraid of its own shadow when they have nothing to lose. You have zero to lose as the New York Giants. Only thing you could lose is being mediocre. That's like the worst case scenario. So if you're a team with Brian Daboll and Daniel Jones fighting for your careers as New York Giants players or coaches, what the hell are you doing? Why not send it? Let it rip. At this point in time, and I said this last year too, Cody, I'd rather watch Daniel Jones throw 2 interceptions a game and also throw 2 touchdowns a game. Not asking for much, right? Crazy. 2 touchdowns in a game. But it's becoming to the point, and a lot of teams are playing like this, where they're afraid of their own shadow. Oh, you know what I want to see? I want to see Kirk Cousins target all of his top dogs 8 times each. I want to see Pitts, London, Darnell Mooney with freaking 7 catches each. I want to see Kyler Murray and Brock Purdy breaking the pocket down and pushing the ball downfield. What I don't want to see is Daniel Jones sitting there looking and saying, okay, now I'm going to look over here, and then that guy should be open. All right, boom. No, freaking send it. And that's why the teams that are exciting are so clearly exciting, and you want to watch them. You want to watch the Ravens. You want to watch CJ Stroud. You want to watch Jameis Winston and Joe Burrow. These guys are attempting to do something, and it seems split right now down the middle. And I get it. And granted, the Steelers are an interesting case study here because, like, they're playing to their strength, which is the defense, right? They're in a unique position where the defense can win them games. Most of these teams aren't like that. So when you're Arizona and you're sitting here at 4-4 with a negative 27 point differential, your only hope is for Kyler Murray to go nuts. So let's give him chances to go nuts. That's what I want to watch. That's all I care about nowadays. I just don't get some of these teams, Cody, that are afraid to push the ball, afraid to take risks. I think the Eagles are another example where there are certain games when they were struggling earlier in the year and in the second half of last year, they were so nervous to do anything. You have an opportunity to win a game, freaking send it. That's what I want to see. I want to see the send it NFL in the second half here, Cody.
Commander's doing some of that, right? Jaden
Oh,
Daniels
yeah.
has been fun, been electric, right? They
Super
push the
fun.
ball. Yeah. And different degree, because I don't think Denver does this, but Bo Nix in Denver has actually been somewhat of a revelation. I don't think people fully expected them to be as competitive as they already are. And he's been fun. He's been good. So you want to talk about fun teams? That's another one. The whole NFC North is fun right now.
Yep.
And the Rams getting healthy.
Fun.
Don't look now, but that team will push the ball. They will be exactly what you ask. If nothing else, Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Puka Nakua and McVay's mind, yes, I got his name right this time, they are going to push the ball and run a lot of that motion and so many just different behind the line of scrimmage guys that are going to throw people off, and they just run like a beautiful offense. And it does make you wonder. Obviously, not everyone's McVay. That's why he's great. But Daboll, like, that's kind of what he is too. And you wonder, is it Daboll? Is it Daniel Jones? Like, why is it that our team can't do that? Like, don't you watch other NFL teams sometimes and go, well, why can't my team just do that? And one of those that things is, like you said, God forbid they throw a touchdown. I mean, I know it's Halloween. We're talking about spooky stuff. These guys are afraid of the end zone. Poor Malik Neighbors is not going to have another touchdown this year because unless they pull in Tommy DeVito, because I don't even think they're going to Drew Lock anymore. I don't know what's going to be up with them. It always seems to come back to them. I'm sorry. I got to be
No.
more positive.
It's fair. But now you bring up my next point, which I want to ask you a question here, and then we're going to get into our picks in just a moment here. But without thinking too much, don't start ranking all the players out in your head. Just tell me where you think this guy is amongst quarterbacks. Where do you rank Matt Stafford? Quick, go.
12.
12. Okay. Okay, so off the top, without thinking about anything else, you don't have Stafford as a top 10 quarterback.
I think he's just outside it. I think if I go through it, maybe I'll think differently, but off the top of my head, that's my first thought.
Okay, so I'm going to start reading you names, and now we'll
Okay.
start listing and having this conversation. And then I'll give you some background to why I'm asking you this in a moment. Stop me when you hear a quarterback for debate. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud,
Mm-mm.
Jalen Hurts. Okay, hold that thought. Dak Prescott,
Yeah, I put Stack and Stafford in the same conversation.
Stack Prescott.
Yeah, those
Okay,
Stack Prescott. If I
got
said
it.
that by accident, it's like borderline genius.
You did say it. You did say
It
that.
sounds really smart if I meant it, but I'm too stupid to think of that.
Okay, so we have Hurts as a maybe, Dak Prescott as a
Yeah,
maybe, Brock Purdy,
I'd put Brock over Stafford.
Jared Goff,
I put Goff over Stafford. MVP
J-
sneaky.
Jordan Love.
Oh, that's close. That's really close. There's a tier of guys that are probably from like 8 to 14. Like I think if you put Kirk Cousins in there, it's not the craziest conversation to have. But keep going. This is good. I like this.
Jaden Daniels.
Unless you're saying it's too soon, but if you're just giving me the what 8 games that they've played and that's all I've got and I don't know before or after, then yes, he's right in there.
Okay, Geno Smith,
No,
Baker
outside of
Mayfield.
it. Just outside of it, I have him over Geno.
Okay, and then Tua, probably not. Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Herbert. I forgot Herbert. I think
Herbert,
Herbert has been good.
yeah, I think I'd take Stafford over him, but it's close.
Okay, so that's good enough for now. So, by the way, the ones that we didn't hesitate on: Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, Stroud. That's 5,
Mm-hmm.
right? You said Hurts probably, Dak maybe, Purdy. You said yes, Goff. You said yes. So let's call it 7 or 8.
Okay.
Matt Stafford, though, in my opinion, on any given game, especially now with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua back, because if you really think about what Stafford's done this year, Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington are his leading receivers this season. And he's done numbers still, and he's kept them in games and somehow competed. As soon as Puka and Cooper Kupp are back, you saw a different Stafford
Mm-hmm.
again, and it's built different now, right? And now they're an exciting team. I personally, with this renaissance of Joe Flacco's and Kirk Cousins putting up numbers and Baker Mayfield's all being better than some of these other guys who were supposed to be up and coming, like Trevor Lawrence and some whatever other guys that we're talking about here. I think Matt Stafford is the perfect NFL quarterback for what I want and dream of every single Sunday. I'm not saying he's number 1 in the league, but this is a guy who knows what the hell he's looking at when he looks across the defense. He is willing to take risks. He is willing to take hits. He uses all of his advantages with his weapons. And I would just sit here today dreaming to root for a guy like that. And I think at the end of the day, whether you have him 7th, which is probably about where I have him, 7th or 8th, or 12th, which is probably fine. This is a guy we can't sleep on, Cody. We have to appreciate the Matt Staffords of the world because right now there's not a lot of quarterbacks who are willing and able to do what he does. There are guys who wish to be what Matt Stafford is right now in the league. And even if they still currently rank better than him, like it's a lot of the outside forces. Who are they playing for? What does the O-line look like? Who are the receivers, the coaches, all that stuff. Pound for pound, whatever you want to say, a guy like Stafford is just so beautiful in this league. And I still think he is by far a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, once we went through it, I regretted the number of 12. I think he is maybe 9 or so, 8, 9, 10. But he keeps the ball moving. They keep possessions alive. And like you said, even without his 2 biggest weapons, he was still able to do so. And Kyron Williams has been fantastic. And again,
Really good.
we've already talked about McVay and how much he helps, but Stafford just knows what he's looking at. And again, Troy Aikman pointed this out on the broadcast Monday night about how Daniel Jones waits, makes sure a guy is open, and then throws, essentially
Yes.
just saying he lacks anticipation. I mean, you want to talk about, like, what do you need to be a good quarterback? You could argue number 1 is anticipation, and he just cannot do it. He can't figure that out, and it's what we've been saying for years now, maybe minus 1 good year, which obviously looks like garbage now. But you would kill for Matt Stafford. And I've heard talks about like him being a bridge in New York. Like, oh, could Stafford, like stupid Giants Twitter pages and stuff.
Yeah.
But just to allow your mind to get to there, it would be so much better and you'd be so much more invested. That's how important it is at the quarterback position. And another one I just thought of, Eli Manning on the Monday night broadcast too, talked about how he has to slide that protection over to TJ Watt's side with the tight end, has to at least chip TJ Watt. He says it, and then the next thing that happens is TJ stripped Daniel Jones at an 8-point game when they actually had an opportunity to tie it up. Those are the things that are just like, why should I buy back in? Why should I believe when this is what I've seen time and time again?
Yeah, and I know it's like a fool's errand to just sit here and talk about like specifically Matt Stafford, but from your Jameis Winston point, it just led me to that idea because you're looking at Dak Prescott right now. He doesn't look like the Dak we've seen over the past couple of years, and his athleticism has waned. His receivers have waned outside of CeeDee Lamb. Like it's just not the same. Jalen Hurts doesn't look as athletic as Jalen Hurts did a year or two ago. Jordan Love, for all the hype of him coming into this year, has been making a lot of mistakes, been getting banged up and all this stuff. And then there's this 39-year-old guy in Matt Stafford who's coming out here taking monster hits and just pushing the ball downfield. And Jameis Winston's like the poor man Stafford, really, if you really think about it. Poor man Stafford, and it's just a really fun brand of football that I really enjoy. So I just wanted to shout him out. What just happened in the Jets game?
39?
Is that accurate? I could be wrong by a year.
No, I would have just guessed 35, 6, 7. Like I knew he was up there. Now I've got to look. And the Jets, I think, recovered a fumble.
He's 36. I messed it up. He's 36.
But the reaction was because the Jets recovered a fumble, and then the next play, Breece Hall fumbled, but then he got back on it. So it's already off to a very Thursday of Thursday night football starts.
Unbelievable. Well, with that being said, I think it's time for some NFL picks, Cody. Is that fair?
Yay.
All right. So NFL picks, really quickly to go through our last week or two. Right now, Cody O'Connor is sitting on top of the standings. You are wearing the crown right now, Cody. Another 2-1 week for you, I believe. Is that correct?
3-0, first one of the year.
Oh my God, 3-0. How did I sell you that short? So you've now moved to 14-10, which is a very nice record. 3-0, 2 over-unders that you hit, and Buffalo against Seattle, which was a banger. I went 2-1 because of the New York Jets. Did not cover -1 in my teaser. Jaguars covered. The Colts covered. The underdogs did it for me. So that puts me to 12-11-1. Pat Boyle, if I'm not mistaken, did he go 0-3 again? No way.
I thought he had a 2-1 week off the top of
my
head.
Yes, he went 2-1 as well. So he's now at 11-12-1, and Mark Shedlagan 9-15, who actually has the Jets tonight as his first pick. So we'll see how that goes for Shenny Shen. So Cody O'Connor, you're in the lead. You own the best record of our foursome. So why don't you kick us off with your first pick?
I would love to. And nothing like a 3-0 week to make that record look good for a little bit. Because the 0-3s, my God, do they kill? It feels like you just fight. 2-1, 2-1, 2-1 to finally get that back. So the 3-0 was just a really nice feeling after getting, again, shellacked in our pool. So Monday Night Football is where I'm going to start. It's the Bucs at +8.5 in Kansas City. Not going to mess around and pair this with anything. I don't feel the need to buy it up any higher. I understand no Chris Godwin, no Mike Evans. I also understand that Baker Mayfield is a certified baller. He is not the Jameis Winston, because I don't know that he's Jameis Winston. Hell, he pushes the ball. He pushes the envelope. He's a gamer, and he's going to keep them close. And he almost had them in that game last week. And the other thing is Kansas City, undefeated, impressive. For some, not as impressive, because it hasn't looked that great, which is a lot like it was last year. And I'm not sitting here telling you that the Kansas City Chiefs are a lesser team or they're not going to be heard from in the AFC. We're talking the regular season. The regular season Chiefs have their hiccups. I would not be shocked if the Bucs actually win this game outright. Hard to do in Arrowhead, but I think a team that can move the ball as well as the Bucs do. This hits a couple boxes for me, Pete. One, when you get 8.5 points or that high of a number over a touchdown on a team that can move the ball as consistently as the Bucs do, even without those guys, I love that spot. And then I said this on the podcast a few times when me and Sean have done it, where when I look at a dog, I like to think, can they actually win the game, or am I just liking the fact that they get this many points? I think the Bucks actually have a chance to steal this game outright. I think the Chiefs are bound to slip up with the way that they've been playing, the mistakes that Mahomes has been making. Give me Baker and the Bucks when nobody believes in him, because that's my favorite spot to take him at +8.5 in Kansas City, -110.
The Baker Mayfield Bucks, and I think you saw just enough from the Bucks last week without
Mm-hmm.
Godwin and Evans, like that they're still going to move the ball. Bucky Irving still kind of doing his thing. They're going back to peppering Rashad White in the passing game a little bit, and they're just moving the ball. And right now, the KC defense is obviously a top dog, but at the same time, to me, it's not something where like they're infallible because of how the offense is played. And I think that's a lot of points. And frankly, the Chiefs covered or didn't cover against the Raiders with a very similar spread. They're not really putting their foot on the throat of many games right now, if you will. So I think that's very interesting. I like it. I like where you're at there. All right. My first pick, I'm going to the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints have been terrible since week 3. What did they do in week 1? They dominated the Panthers, Cody. What do they do in week 2? They dominated at the Dallas Cowboys. Derek Carr's obviously been banged up. Kamara's kind of in and out of injury, the blue tent, and all that stuff. Every week he has a Q on his name if you have him in fantasy. Well, they've lost 5 in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 6 in a row. The Saints are losing like crazy. But what do they do this week, Cody? They play the Carolina Panthers. At Carolina, I don't give a damn. This team sucks. This team is really bad. And on top of that, you have a Saints team that's looking to get Derek Carr back this week. Going to have Chris Olave most likely in the lineup. You have Taysom Hill returning to the lineup as well. And Kamara is expected to play. All those options right there against the Carolina Panthers, I don't care. Saints -7 all day, every day. Raheem Palmer on the Ringer Gambling Show had a really great point with the Denver game against Carolina. I think it was 2 weeks ago now, where it was like the power rankings that he has, whatever system he uses, he was like the Denver Broncos were rating 16 points better than the Carolina Panthers. And the spread was like 9.5 or 10, whatever it was, 8.5. The Saints, although they've lost many games in a row, even with Spencer Rattler, have moved the ball a little bit here. Now you get Carr back, you get Olave healthy, you get Kamara, you get Taysom Hill, and this team looks like the team that walloped the Panthers in week 1. Bryce Young, where's Deontay Johnson? He's gone. Adam Thielen, he might be on his way out. This team is buns, Cody. And right now, this is a game that the Saints have lost 6 in a row. So how could you possibly make them more than a touchdown favorite? They should probably be a double-digit favorite, but you just can't do that in today's NFL. You don't do it. So I see value in 7 points. I think the Saints win by 2 touchdowns.
That line makes so much more sense now that you say Derek Carr is in, because I hadn't heard much about the game. It's not really a high-profile game, if you will.
The opposite, if anything.
But it's funny, when you went through those first 2, I felt horrible because I had Saints under 7.5 wins this year. And so when they worked Dallas like that, I was ready to cross it off. I go, they actually are good. Like, I can't believe this. And now, obviously, 6 straight, I feel a lot better about it. But that's a good pick because the Panthers are that bad. Deontay Johnson was their best weapon. He's gone. Adam Thielen is back this week, but coming off an injury. Who knows? Maybe they want to try and showcase him a little bit, pepper him. So maybe that's a prop to look at, maybe his receptions, but it won't be enough. And the Saints, with Derek Carr, with Olave, they were a team that was moving the ball. I like that pick a lot, and now I wonder if that'll be a pool pick for me and Sean this Sunday. But I'm not going any spreads here. I'm going to what worked for me last week, and that's an over. And what worked for me last week was an over on the number one reason to watch football, and that's Jameis Winston and the Cleveland Browns. So Chargers and Browns numbers at 42.5. I think that's a low number, and I don't know if that's a low number because they still think, hey, the Cleveland Browns have a good defense and the Chargers have a pretty solid defense and they like to run the ball, so maybe they're going to run clock. Jameis Winston's playing football, and you just take the over and you cover your eyes and watch, because he, whether it's pushing the ball and scoring touchdowns himself or throwing interceptions that's going to allow the quick and easy points for the other side, he's that guy where even if it's late, you just think it's coming. And so as I looked at that spread and I saw 1.5, I leaned Chargers, and I was thinking about taking it, and I couldn't get there. And then I just took my eyes over to the right just ever so slightly and saw a number at 42.5. And I said, that's a low number, just like I thought it was last week with the Ravens. Chargers have been throwing the ball a little bit better. Justin Herbert's got a guy with Lad McConkey. They've got a little connection there. They push the ball. They can move it. They had 300 yards, or he had 300 passing yards. I think that was a Monday night football game, and they couldn't score worth of anything, but they moved the ball, right? So I don't know if this number's that low because of those things I mentioned. I find it to be too low in a game that Jameis Winston's playing. So Chargers Browns over 42.5. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it. That's pick number 2 for me.
Another over for Cody O. And I think
Cody
you really
over.
Cody over. I love it. And I think you quite figured out the over under last week, obviously. So you went from 2-1 to now 4-1 on the year on straight over unders. So the Cody O'Connor trend of over under picks is looking good. 4-1, Cody. That's pretty nice. We like to
I
hear
love that you're tracking that too. Those little nuggets.
I'm trying. I got to get up on my my graphics game a little bit quicker, but yes, we are on it. So follow us on socials at Subway Sports Talk. All right, my second pick. I'm gonna go with a teaser. The teasers haven't been super kind to me so far this year, Cody. I was only 1-1 on them, but then I lost my teaser this week. But there's a teaser spot that I really love this week. In a way, it's annoying that the Bengals are exactly 7-point favorites against the Raiders because I'd rather it, almost be 7.5 because at that point it's like 7 is even worth teasing. Just take the Bengals. I don't know. I'm taking the Bengals and the Chicago Bears in a standard 6-point teaser -120. You get the Bengals from -7 down to -1, and you get the Bears from +1.5 up to +7.5. More important, kind of, to get that half point when you're going up to the 7 than rather down to the 1.5. So that's why I'm fine with it. Typically, a 7 spread is not something I'm teasing. I know it screwed me last week with the Jets, but I'm going back to the well with the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that has moved the ball, that has had some difficult losses here. And this is another one of those spots where it's like, all right, Cincinnati, we all have faith in you because of what you've done in years past. Give us a reason to have faith because of what you're doing this year, right? Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I know T. Higgins was out last week. That hurt them a ton. And that changes kind of the whole dynamic of who they are. He's questionable. I think he's probably going to play. The Chase Brown, Zach Moss thing has been good. It's really been the Bengals defense that has been, the thorn in their side this year. Against the Raiders, you're not as worried about their defense coming up small, especially at home. So you get them down to -1 and you love it. On the Bears front, the Cardinals have been really frisky. They've been up and down. They've kind of won big. They've lost big. They've played stupid close games. They've done it all. All the things the Cardinals done or do, they've done them this year. But you get the Bears, who have been a very specific type of team this year, Cody. They're playing a lot of games close to the chest. In their losses, they've lost by 6 points to the Texans in week 2. They've lost by 5 points to the Colts in week 3. And they lost on a Hail Mary by 3 points last week in week 8. This defense is good. Yes, the Cardinals have the ability to make pop plays and backdoor cover and all this fun stuff. But I don't understand why the Bears, who have seemingly been favored in every single game that they've played this year, outside of, I think, week 2 at Houston, they're now underdogs here. What am I missing? This defense is really good in Chicago. I like what I've seen from Caleb Williams progressing through games, progressing through this season so far. Yeah, he's had some rookie mistakes. Yeah, he's had some slow starts. But against Arizona, that's not a team you worry about when it comes to defense. Right now, they're ranked 30th in the league in yards per play as a defense. They give it up. And a lot of people are talking about how the Bears' schedule gets a lot harder in the second half of the year. Well, it doesn't start yet. They have the Cardinals this week. They have the Patriots next week. And then they go through their NFC North gauntlet, Packers, Vikings, Lions, back to back to back. Then the 49ers, Vikings, Lions again. Like, their schedule gets a lot harder. These are the last 2 spots for them to show out. These are the last 2 advantageous spots for Caleb Williams, and basically a combination of getting them to +7.5 when they've played every single game close this year, except for when they had, two blowout wins. This is a no-brainer spot to me. +7.5, Caleb Williams, one of his upswing games from playing a bad defense standpoint, and the Bears defense continues to keep this team close. Bengals -1, Bears +7.5. That's my second pick.
I stared down the Bears. They were very close to becoming a pick of mine because I think the same way as you. Just because they lose that game on a tipped Hail Mary, which Sean and I were on the wrong side of, and I personally was on the wrong side of. But that doesn't mean that the Bears aren't a good team with a really good defense. Bengals have to win, should get a win against a team in the Raiders that seem like they're kind of quitting and just don't have much. And I hate to say that because I love Antonio Pierce, but that's what it looks like over there. So the Bears, I wouldn't be surprised to see Pete as a pool pick.
Yeah, and you know what? Another thing where, at the end of the day, the teasers can be your best friend. They could be your worst enemy. We know this, right? We try to tell Mark and Lugan all the time, like, you need to pick a straight pick. Why not? Just one or two, right? But this to me is a spot where, like, 9 out of 10, I'd want to go and take the Bears straight up. I'd want to. I don't love the straight up for some reason. Like, I think if I'm making a pick on Sunday, sitting on my couch before the game starts, I'm betting Bears plus 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
I am going for it. Full send. Maybe the money line. Why not? Get the extra freaking 10 points of juice. But in the plus 7.5, they haven't played a game where they've been outclassed yet. And I don't think the Cardinals are the team to do it.
No, the Cardinals are more the team that when they're getting 8.5 points, I like to back them because they're a great backdoor cover. But they don't really put the hammer down on teams. And now they're going for a third straight win, which I don't think they're going to get. So I'm with you on that. And I've got my own two legs for you here. Not exactly a teaser spot, but this is the pick that I call the I swear I'm a New York Giants fan pick. So leg number one really shouldn't surprise many. It's the Commanders' money line. Games in New York where the Giants have one offensive touchdown so far this year, 0 passing. And that home crowd, I told you I was there against the Eagles, restless right now. First thing that goes wrong, they're going to want Daniel Jones out of there. And with Andrew Thomas being out, there's just no world where they can slow another defense's pass rush down right now. And the Washington Commanders defense, for however it looked in the beginning of the year, much, much, much more formidable. And it kind of makes sense considering Dan Quinn's their head coach, a defensive-minded guy. Not to mention Jaden Daniels is going to push the ball. And they just kind of played a weird game last week, but they should have won that game every which way. And then they obviously fortunately win it. But they were pushing the ball against a good Bears defense. The Giants defense, I think, is good. I think their defensive line is great. And I think Dexter Lawrence is amazing. But when you're on the field as often as they are, eventually you're going to break down. And that's just what I think is going to happen in this game. So even though the Giants should have beat the Commanders the first time they played, now no Andrew Thomas, probably a more healthy Jaden Daniels. I don't trust the 4 because whatever reason, the Giants play them really well typically. And we both know the Giants are always in for a weird, like, either backdoor cover or a stupid win. And I'm afraid of the stupid win, but I'm going to go with the money line and trust that this isn't that week. And then the other leg of this, I swear I'm a Giants fan, is the Cowboys. I'm going to buy them up to 8.5 points against Atlanta. In Atlanta, 3.5 points. It was very close to being enough, but I like the Commanders enough to put them together. And then I love the Cowboys at 8.5. You want to talk about the Cardinals not being a team to put the hammer down? Kirk Cousins very rarely blows teams out. He's usually in fun ones. I think it's a game where Dallas can win it, but I don't fully trust them in the way that they've looked. But they've been able to, even when they've fallen behind, and they did that again last week, they've been able to push the ball. They did it with Baltimore too, and against the Niners, where they get down so big early, but then they push the ball and they actually make it a game late. So maybe, just maybe, crazy idea, they try that from the beginning and play a complete game, and then I think they actually could win this game outright. So 8.5, I feel even better about. And that's my, again, I swear to you, I'm a Giants fan. Plus 104 parlay, Commanders money line, and Cowboys plus 8.5.
Are you a Giants fan, Cody? I'm not sure.
I swear to you, I'm a Giants fan.
But actually, it almost is a better sign that you're a Giants fan because a Giants fan knows what they're watching. At least a good one, not a Bob Papa. No offense, great broadcaster, but like, that whole broadcast team is hyping the Giants up when they're 3-13, right? The pregame show, it's on the network that I work at. I'll be there, next weekend. But that pregame show is hyping them up no matter what, taking overs the left and right. But they're not very good. They're not very good. What'll make you nervous is if the Giants' defensive line, which has been great at getting after the quarterback, creates turnovers, right? Like that's the only way for them to kind of have this moment here. If they get a strip sack on Jaden Daniels, or if Jaden Daniels, unfortunately leaves a game, but that's not why you make bets. So you don't bet on injuries. You don't do that. All right. Well, this one's not an injury change at quarterback that I'm going here with. It's just a good old fashioned, we're going with the old guy, not the young guy. I'm taking for the second week in a row. The second week in a row. How about the Indianapolis Colts +5, Cody? Joe Flacco.
Joe.
How about Mr. Elite Joe Flacco over here, stepping right back up, right into the fray? Now, weird decision, in my opinion, as the Colts like announcing it so soon that Joe Flacco is going to start that game, let the Vikings kind of prepare differently for this. I'll start off by what makes me nervous about this game. Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. They love to blitz. They blitz left and right. Now, that can go one of two ways. For Joe Flacco, it can go a way where he's so sharp, he's so old school, he knows what the hell he's doing, getting rid of the ball, using all those weapons he has, and it looks good. Or you see Joe Flacco taking those like drop steps that he doesn't know what to do and just chucks it up over the top, and it's really ugly. That's a possibility. However, the big thing here, Jonathan Taylor, second week back, he's healthy. They're running the ball damn good. The Colts are another team that plays everything close to the chest. They're a team that plays that style of football that I told you I don't love, because sometimes it feels like, especially like, they're trying not to make the mistake. It seems that way by the end scores. However, they're taking shots over the top left and right. Flacco's throwing some deep balls. Richardson can only throw deep balls. That's what they do. But this defense has been solid. They're keeping every game close. They lost by 2 to the Texans in week 1, only 6 to the Packers in week 2, 3 to the Jaguars in week 5 or whatever, and then 3 to the Texans last week. This Colts team keeps themselves in games. They run the football. The Vikings, on the other hand, they've come down to earth a little bit finally here. They're not as, ridiculously amazing as they were weeks 1 through 5, and they've had their fair share of iffy games. They've lost 2 in a row. I think this is a close game. I think 5 is not the right number. I would have guessed the line at 3.5. So I take the Colts at +5, and I watch Joe Flacco on Sunday Night Football and hold my nose that they keep it close like they've done all year long.
Pete, can I welcome you into a personal fantasy world of mine, in
Please.
which we get into early January, wild card Saturday or Sunday, and we've got a Jameis Winston and Joe Flacco playoff game on the horizon. Oh, baby. Women wonder, what do we fantasize about? Is it other women? No, it's Joe Flacco versus Jameis Winston on wild card Saturday or Sunday. That is where I want to be.
Yeah, it ain't DeArmas and Sweeney. It's Flacco and Winston.
That's right.
Oh my God. It's like, I wonder, it's like the classic meme of like, I wonder what he's thinking about. And he's placing a 10-leg parlay that can't lose.
He's going over 63.5.
Yeah, unbelievable. And you know what, too? Like, it goes back to that point we were talking about earlier with quarterbacks in general, Cody. There's quarterbacks in this league right now, and Sam Darnold's one of them. Jordan Love is one of them. As nice as they've been and as exciting as they've been, there's still these like moments that you're like, is Kevin O'Connell going to have to like kind of come in here and hold him back a little bit, right? Is LaFleur, who has been almost as successful with Malik Willis as he's been with Jordan Love this year, going to have to go in and like pull him back just a little bit, right? Because when you are a Packers or a Vikings and now the playoffs are truly right there, like they're in sight, you all change. We'll go back to the Giants again. When Dable first became the coach of the New York Giants, we were loving him because he was going for it on 4th down, taking risks, being creative. All of a sudden, they're a playoff team and they're rolling into the end of the year there. And it's like, oh, wow, we have stakes now. Like, I got to make sure we don't fuck this up. And that's the thing with like the Sam Darnold of it all, who I'm a Sam Darnold guy. I support him and root for him for some reason. I can see it happening. And then you watch Joe Flacco, 1-step drop, boom, Michael Pittman, two-step drop, Downs on the other side, Jonathan Taylor just picking up chunk gains. And you're like, wait. The Vikings are 5-2. They're supposed to be like one of the best teams. Why is this game tied with 2 minutes left in the 4th quarter, right? Like that's what I picture in some of these matchups. And we've been seeing it play out frequently over the past couple of weeks here.
Oh yeah. I'm rooting for you as a Lions to win the NFC North future holder. I'm really rooting against the Vikings and everyone else in the NFC North who wants to overachieve right now.
Yeah, 100%. Cody O'Connor, man, what the heck? We did it. Another week of picks. We're out here. Nice solid episode right there. Any last words? Anything you got for me on basketball front before we say goodbye? Anything like just fun last words for basketball?
Through 4 games, I'm having a hard time tempering my Oklahoma City Thunder expectations
I
because
don't think you should temper at all.
they're without Hartenstein right now. I'll tell you this much. This is what I'm already at. I think that they have skipped another step where at this point the regular season not doesn't matter at all, but it's to a point where it's really not that big a deal. Like it is at a what are we going to do in the playoffs? And that's like think in just 2 years the leaps that they've made, but that's where it stands. They just have so many guys and guys even coming in. AJ Mitchell, 2nd-round pick, and he looks like a guy already, not like a star-studded player, but another rotation piece that you can put in and trust to do his job. I thought their offseason was so perfect. So really exciting watching them. I'm excited to see like some of those new pieces and how the Knicks keep working them, but I love that they finally were like, you know what, Karl Anthony Towns, he might just be the best offensive player we have on this team, and that's no disrespect to Brunson. So I've been liking watching them integrate him and see how that's all going to work because I know this is New York. It's hard for all of us, but we have to be patient with them because there's a lot of new pieces and a lot of moving parts happening. So those are the 2 teams I watch the closest, the 2 teams I root for the most. I kind of pray they're not on a collision course because at that point I will be just distraught. But until then, it's been really fun watching those 2. Oh, and Boston is really good at basketball still.
Freaking Boston, dude. They're so good. So
Yeah.
annoying. Even though they lost to the Pacers on Wednesday night.
Yeah, they still brought that back from like a 24-point deficit. That was ridiculous.
Yeah. I checked it on my phone because I had like a Celtics leg or something like that. And they were down 30. I'm like, oh, well, that leg's done. And then all of a sudden I check back. I'm like, wait, whoa. And they almost came back. What just happened in the Jets game? I saw a face.
Thursday night football strikes again, Pete.
Oh,
should
no.
have been the first touchdown. Jets should be up 6-0.
Oh, God,
But
no.
instead of breaking the plane with the ball, we celebrate early and drop it right before the goal line. And the Texans get a touchback and are at the 20. You can't make this stuff up. And I laugh because it's something the Giants would do.
Who did it?
That's the funniest thing. I don't even know who this guy is. He's number 14. He was out of the backfield. It looked like his name might have been Conley or something along those lines. I never heard of the guy. And, of course, I've got Garrett Wilson first touchdown, so I'm thrilled, not to mention an under and Texans plus 7.5 play. But you can't do stuff like that when you're this bad. You can't do stuff like that. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I got to see if I can find the guy's name.
If you think, like, I was talking to a Jets fan who's like the ultimate, who is it?
Corley. I don't even know his first name. Corley. M. Corley. I don't know who he is.
I don't know either. My God. I was talking to a Jets fan who's a pessimist Jets fan. He's just like, they stink. They're going to lose every game type Jet fan right now. And he's like, I was like, hey, you excited for tonight's game? Like, fully sarcastically. And he's like, absolutely not. They suck. They're going to lose. I was like, I think they're in a good spot. Like, good matchup tonight. No Diggs, no Nico Collins. Like, Texans been kind of skating by. And he's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I said that they should have won the past 2 weeks in a row. So maybe you're right. And I'm an idiot. And here I am. I have money on the Jets again tonight. So
you and everyone else, that line got pushed up like crazy.
What are you going to do? My God. All right. Cody O'Connor, I don't think you should temper your expectations at all for the OKC Thunder. You should just enjoy the hell out of this season because they're freaking awesome. How about Waters?
Lindy?
Yeah.
He went to Golden State.
Oh, he's not with you anymore.
He did that in Golden State. He's like an Oklahoma City product, but he dropped like a 30-piece in Golden State. The guy couldn't see the floor in Oklahoma City.
I was just thinking of him. And I forgot he got moved from OKC because he was with you guys. But it's just nuts how many good players you guys have. It's out of control. On the Knicks front, real quick, I know I said I was ending this podcast like 3 minutes ago, but here we are. The offense is starting to make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
OG Anunoby is really good at basketball. He does so much. Josh Hart, so good at basketball, does so much. And guess what? Mikal Bridges can shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What a shocker. All these people were freaking out, Cody. And I was like, all right, it looks a little wonky. I don't think the guy who's 38% for his career is going to all of a sudden, shoot 1 for 7 every night. And his shot looks better already. Here we are. Mm-hmm. What a beautiful sport. Brunson is Brunson, and Towns needed that coming out party. And now he just needs to continue to stay out of foul trouble and, do what he does, score points, get rebounds for them. And the defense, I think, will come around too. So Knicks are fine. Knicks are totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going with. All right. Cody O'Connor, Pete Kennedy. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Subway Sports Talk. Don't forget to subscribe, review, like all that stuff on your podcast app and YouTube. All that fun stuff is all great. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. Maybe Sunday, actually. Sunday morning, Cody? We'll
The
expect to see
plan
you
is
Sunday
to
morning?
be back Sunday morning, hopefully early to get those picks out for the people.
Very nice. So Sunday mornings, Cody O'Connor out
Sean
there
Cullen.
and Sean Cullen.
Yes, sir.
There we go. And Sean Cullen, Sunday mornings, spread picks. Really fun way to get ready for the slate. All right, that's all we got. Subway Sports Talk. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.